They're in the break room.
Okay.
They don't even put on the end. No decision was made on that. You have to.
Yep.
Yep, it's in the code.
Yeah.
You should tell them that.
We easily Our page said almost half inch. Yes.
7:59, 45 seconds.
It's close.
Doesn't move, does it?
It's like close. What we would do is we wouldn't have iPads, clocks on. We'd have to look on my watch.
Yeah.
And
It's
decide
8
if it was
o'clock.
actually on the second.
It's 8 o'clock, let's stand to do the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And for public discussion, we're gonna let Ron, you got a short one?
Very short one.
Good.
We're just here ahead of time. I'm representing myself, Edgar Meyer. We're with the Kossuth Ag and Motorsports Museum. What we're doing is we're applying for Enhance Iowa grant to try to get our addition put on. We're going to be housing the All Iowa Racing Hall of Fame. And part of our grant application, which you guys are familiar with grant applications, like a lot of pages, part of it is your county, if there's any county contribution, they're looking for that, and any city contribution. So what we're looking for is to get on the agenda for next week and maybe discuss, so if you guys can. Sorry about that.
At least it's a good song.
What was my mother?
Oh.
But just so you can understand what we're doing out there and what we're asking for, no big monetary donations. They're just looking for a letter of support from you guys and something in kind.
Okay,
So like I say, if you can get us on the agenda, we'd really appreciate that.
we will put it on the agenda for, you got any time you'd like to be on?
Sooner the better.
We'll put it on right away.
Awesome.
Is that awesome?
Appreciate your time.
You and Mr. Meyer come in and give us a hard time.
Next time he gets to talk.
Okay, yep,
Sounds good.
Alright.
yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Stacy,
Alright, good morning, everybody.
Yep.
So obviously, we got a bunch of people here on behalf of we wanna talk about the carbon capture pipeline, and so have the privilege today of introducing you to Doyle Turner. Doyle Turner is from Woodbury County, and he has been in this fight. He's been a true, courageous warrior. He's trying to connect all the counties together. Like we have talked about at previous meetings here about getting counties to work together instead of apart. And he has some great points on how we can be on the offense instead of the defense. So I'm going to let Doyle now take over, but I'm gonna hand out these sheets of letter to intent. I did message every one of you a video on carbon sink. So Jack, you got yours on Messenger, I hope, maybe? I sent it to you, but I don't know how often you read it, but anyway, everybody else should have gotten it.
thank you.
There you go. All right, Doyle.
Thank you, Stacy. Doyle Turner, I'm from Mobile, Iowa, and I invested in a company called Rentec years ago. Wasn't the best investment I made, but I did learn that they were selling CO2 many years ago, and it was very profitable. So I knew this CO2 had a lot of value, and I knew that these large companies that we're dealing with, they're after the CO2. The subsidies that they're getting are unbelievable, but that's a small portion of the story when you look at the value of the CO2. So I was searched out for a company that could add value to our CO2 so that we could keep that income within our state and within our local economies. So I found Carbon Sink, and Carbon Sink is the one that has offered you a letter of intent. They are willing to go to every county that has an ethanol plant in their county and offer them a letter of intent to build in their county. Now, these plants, to begin with, as they start, are gonna cost around 300 million apiece. This is not a small deal, but this will raise the amount of fuel that we produce in our state by 66%. So when you add because 1 bushel of corn produces 3 gallons of ethanol, it produces 16 pounds of DDGs, and it produces 1 gallon of corn syrup. That same bushel of corn will be able to also produce 2 gallons of methanol. So that methanol, with the demand that is in the shipping industry, there's no way we can produce the demand. So that methanol is actually going to be worth more than the ethanol. So this is a win for the landowners, because when you deal with the law, we have several laws, 479B, 6A.21, 6A.22, that all deal with eminent domain. The common thread is that it has to be convenient and necessary. Well, if we have other options that create more economic development than sequestration, and it doesn't require eminent domain, then the pipelines are neither convenient or necessary. So what I'm looking at is, it took me a long time to find an attorney that was skilled in eminent domain. I found him. His name is David Charles. He's with Bevan and McCormick. And I talked to Roger earlier, and I gave him his contact. And what I'm really looking for from you guys is just to do the first step, to have Roger talk to Mr. Charles and find out if there is a conflict of interest in any of his clients with the county of Kossuth, and discuss this possible case and see if you'd want to be interested. I was the one who talked Woodbury County into going along with you with Timothy Whipple, and that is more of a defensive move. I firmly believe that if our counties are going to represent their people, we're probably going to get sued. And Timothy Whipple is an expert in the zoning side of things, and I think it's wise that you're retained him, because counties that come in later it's going to be harder as their time gets filled up. And I think this is more of an offensive move. This is not a way to just regulate where the pipelines go. This can stop the pipelines, and it can also increase your economic development a lot. Do you have any questions?
I guess my question would be is, how do you correlate the two together in a short time frame? Because we're talking August already for the Iowa Utilities Board to start acting.
The Iowa Utilities Board is only really part of this. I'm a firm believer that the Iowa Utilities Board is a done deal. It was, the governor chose which way she wanted this to go. And the way that this case would be geared would be specifically to the Iowa Supreme Court. If you take Putney versus the IUB, where Putney lost was that there was no other option. And there are other options here. The other thing is, this also does us no good to kill the pipeline if we kill our ethanol plants along with it. This gives the ethanol plants the same scoring as the pipeline does, so that they can still sell their ethanol at a premium.
I guess one question I have on that is, has there been any contact from this company with the ethanol plants here? Like Kossuth specifically?
This particular plant, I do not know. I don't actually work for them. I know they've talked to a lot of ethanol plants, but I can't tell you if they've talked to this specific ethanol plant. I know that they don't have an agreement with that plant, and that's why their name is not mentioned in the item.
Do you talk directly to this Randy Roy,
Yes.
co-founder?
Yes.
Okay. Could I get his contact info?
Yeah.
There's a website on there.
I see his email, yeah.
So your goal, or I think the idea is intriguing, but your goal would be to, have enough counties on board that would want to buy into, or not buy into, but support an industry, a new sort of industry, and therefore eliminate the need for a carbon sequestration pipeline. I
Right.
mean, that's kind of,
I'm not technically anti-pipeline.
yeah. I just being clear, you know.
I am anti-sequestration.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, taking a valuable commodity, sticking it in the hole of the ground is really stupid. And that's why only the federal government would pay to do it. So that's where dumb ideas go to get funded. But, yes, on your point, I want to add value to something that we already have here. This is a natural resource and it should not leave our state without adding value to it. And my thought is if we get enough counties involved, it cuts the cost of the legal. You know, you would be the first county to be contacting Mr. Charles, and, you know, everything's negotiable, and like I told Roger, please negotiate. And I surely expect you to not agree to anything until there's a certain number of counties that would agree to that, and that's what I intend on doing, is going to counties like this and trying to get more and more counties involved.
where is your home county, Woodbury County?
Woodbury, Sioux City.
Or I mean, where are they at in the process as far as?
Sioux City, I talked them into, hiring Timothy
Yeah,
Whipple.
in the intervention.
Sioux City is a very unique case because they don't have an ethanol plant. However, they have two pipelines that are bringing all the CO2 from Nebraska into their county. So when Carbon Sync did a letter of intent with them, it was for a mega plant in the Port Neal Industrial Park. Very few Iowa counties have an industrial park that can handle a plant that size. And that's where I really started with this when I contacted Carbon Sync. I said, we got the perfect site for you. And they're like, yeah. They had looked for places to put a mega plant and really couldn't find one. Well, finally, it took a lot of talking, but I got to look at it on Google Earth and they're like, why are there so many transmission lines coming in and out of this park? Well, there were 4 coal plants there at one time. There's only 2 now. So, but there are very few places where a mega plant really works because it requires too much electricity and too much water. By spreading it out across the state, it makes it a whole lot easier for Mid-American to supply power to it.
Well, it seems to me, ultimately, this whole pipeline business is gonna end at the governor's desk. She's the one that's gonna decide whether this goes forward or not. And I guess the place for a lot of this, like this would be a great thing for you to take right down to, to her and talk to her about it, because she's the one that's gonna ultimately decide whether this thing happens or doesn't happen.
That video you saw where Jim McVeeny gave that he talked to Kim Reynolds, got an award at the ethanol banquet at that same meeting, and he talked to her alone for 25 minutes before he gave that speech. So she's fully aware of this. I believe this is going to end up at the Iowa Supreme Court, and they will decide it, because it doesn't much matter which way the IUB goes, they're gonna get sued. It doesn't much matter where there's gonna be lawsuits. This is gonna make the lawyers rich, but it's the game we gotta play. It's the world we live in today. It's sad, but that's the case, But I think to put up something that gets our ethanol plants what they need, gets our property owners their rights, and it increases our economic development, that's a win-win-win. There's not many times in life you get those.
I appreciate you bringing the idea to us. We always, I think, would appreciate ideas considering economic growth versus just being on the defensive and at least looking into things and yeah, thanks for being here.
Would you kind of feel like, Roger,
I think we could put it on the agenda for next week for discussion in public.
We're
Yeah,
discussing
let's-
things anyway. So
Let's discuss it
Yep.
next week.
thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda and we'll probably do a little research before next week.
Feel free to call me
Do you
anytime.
have contact or?
Roger has my contact, but I can make it available to all of you. I actually am on the agenda at Sioux County next week, so I won't be able to be here next week. But, is there a possibility that he could at least call them to find out that whether you have a conflict or not? That might be worth knowing before you actually put it on the agenda.
Yeah, well, we have to put it on the agenda, or we can dismiss it off the agenda, but we can't talk about it unless we get it
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
there ahead of
okay.
time, so.
All right,
Yeah, and your phone number?
712-870-9715.
Great.
It was Doyle
Doyle Turner,
Turner.
What was the last four?
9715.
15.
You're just a little slow today there.
Well, usually
Give
when
him a hard
somebody,
time.
somebody asks my last four, I almost give you my socials.
Well, I wouldn't know the rest of it, so it's okay.
All right.
Yeah, thanks Doyle. Anybody else got anything on this subject?
What he's talking about this morning, they had it on KLGA.
Did they?
Yeah. They're talking about, I can't remember his name, Tillman or Hellman, I only heard part of it. And they were talking about how they can bring a plant and it'll be up and going in, what they say, 6 to 9 months, that there's gonna be plants around here that will be making methanol. So it was on the radio already again this morning. It was kinda odd, it was on the radio and this gentleman talks about it today.
It's nothing new. They have made methanol out of CO2 for years, but
Yes.
it's the selling of the product that's been short.
Well, methanol is actually the 5th largest traded commodity in the world. But this is green methanol. And up until recently, it now has way more value than regular methanol.
Cause I thought they said this morning they put it in aviation fuel, is that correct?
This is for ships.
For shipping?
They can actually use CO2 to make aviation fuel. And the Air Force is doing that currently. They are doing tests on that fuel, on synthetic jet fuel right now. So like I said, this stuff has a lot of value. That process is much newer, and it's not economically viable right now. But as we know, the Air Force doesn't really care if it's economically viable or not. They can do it anyhow.
Rick.
A good discussion this morning. Right now, there's an outfit called Cap CO2 that's putting in equipment in Illinois to get in-house. So this is right down the line here. So you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. These plants could be 3 times more profitable with what this gentleman was talking about by doing this. So who is paying for the pipeline? Somebody's got to pay for it. And it's not gonna, unfortunately, the farther end of it, Iowa's economy, you're paying for pipe to go nowhere, to put something down the ground. So, he's right on as far as that goes. And, Maersk, the big shipping, container, for the, European Union, I mean, they're all out to get this methanol. And so, yeah, I think they're gonna be designing ships. So this is right on track here. But the other thing we have to ask ourselves, what happens when this pipeline goes in and we have a eruption, the family gets killed, the kid gets killed? It's only gonna do nothing but hurt this industry, and the lawsuits will be coming. They have Reynolds on the record as to, Summit wanted a sequestration committee. 2 weeks later, she has one, and it left off the safety people. The lawsuits will be coming. And who's gonna wanna open that pipeline farming, loses 1,000 people or 2. And so these are the realities, I think. So I think it's not only the right thing to do, but it's the good business thing to do. So I'm glad this gentleman came over, and thank you for doing that.
Okay,
Casey?
question, the planning and zoning gave you guys a plan. What I understand, you guys are kinda scared to go with the plan because you're gonna get sued. Well, if the governor already went ahead and agreed with this, well, can't the county sue the governor? That's the same
You can
purpose,
sue anybody, but, you know, can you win?
you know.
And who's gonna pay all the attorney fees? Go ahead.
I've got copies of the article that was in Saturday's Fort Dodge paper concerning Summit, and it pretty much agrees with what he says. In between the lines, it sounds like our governor is in the pocket of this Summit pipeline thing. But in addition to that, I did some research, and I'm kinda at a disadvantage to do that because we don't have internet out where I live, and I have to do it on the smartphone. But there are at least 3 national foundation type groups that are willing to fight eminent domain. And they aren't like some of these small little lawyers. The one that sounds the best to me is this Institute for Justice. It has several offices in the United States. It has a $20 million budget to fight something like this. It's all pro bono, it doesn't cost nothing. They've won 12,000 cases against eminent domain. And on the back of this, I've got their website where you can look that up. There's 2 more. There's one called Pacific Legal Foundation and one called Mountain States Legal Foundation. And both of those are interested in fighting government misuse of eminent domain. So I think if Summit does go ahead and try and get eminent domain through the Iowa Utilities Board, it sounds like a place like this is something you'd want to get on your side to help fight without jeopardizing your finances, because they are all pro bono. It doesn't cost anything to have them fight. And it sounds like they're anxious to fight. So I'll leave this over there on the table for anybody that hasn't picked one of these up that wants it. And on the back, it has the websites where you can look up this Institute for Justice and this Pacific Legal Foundation and this Mountain States Legal Foundation. They're, you know, it sounds, that's substantial organizations that are really interested in fighting something like this, and they've got huge contributions from a lot of these wealthier people that are opposed to government intervention in so many of these different things. So it sounds like something that would really pay to get them involved in something like this. If it's gonna go to the point to where, you know, hopefully, and I have no idea how they would do this, but my thinking would be like if they would turn around, and they've sued several government, they've had 10 cases before the Supreme Court of the United States. They did lose one on a vote of 5-4 on eminent domain, but they've won several other cases throughout the country.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it'd be best if you had concerned citizens form a group and get in contact with them. It wouldn't really be up to the Board of Supervisors to do that.
Well, that's why I think, you know, people should look this up
Yeah.
and research it. And
That's not our place
as
for
many
that.
people, if they get enough people contacted, and the more people they get contacted, and the more interest they're probably gonna have in taking this on.
So you're gonna have a group of people get together and sign your name on a petition
Right.
to,
Or you look on they've got, you know, where an individual can protest
Really?
something and they'll, so anyway, I'll leave this over here, and anybody that hasn't picked up a copy can pick up.
To your point on the county involvement, the county is one of the entities that does have the right of eminent domain. And according to Kelo versus New London and Putney versus IUB, you would have some rights of eminent domain for economic development purposes. So you have a very valid say in the state on when we shouldn't do eminent domain also. So the case that I'm trying to talk you into is actually you using your voice on eminent domain to say, don't use eminent domain because we can get greater economic development through other alternatives. So that's why I'm coming to counties, is because, yes, I think the individuals have a case here, but the counties have a very strong case because of your ability to also do eminent domain.
Well, we'd have a stronger case because of economic development and keeping industry in the county
Right.
than,
Than the
Than
individual.
just saying.
right, than just saying no.
Yep.
You're correct. Stacy?
Yeah, unfortunately, the pipeline has brought it's gonna be lawsuit crazy is what's gonna happen. And we as a county can either sit on the defense, right, and just wait for something to happen, and then we're like, now we're gonna have to come up with this money. The other unfortunate was we've had Summit Navigators sitting in our corner through all of our meetings, and they heard you guys at the last, meeting that we were all here, that you were afraid that you guys were gonna get sued because of this ordinance passing.
I don't know that anybody said that.
Well,
Maybe somebody said it, but that's really not
It was
correct.
implied, right? It was implied.
Right.
Well, then you guys get a letter, is that correct, that they sent a threatening letter?
Wow, that's normal.
Right, okay, so that's normal, right?
That's not abnormal, that's all the
So the
time.
whole point is that
Every
all of a
day.
sudden, we already have the threatening letters already starting, and so, our voices from the people of this county are more so that if a family would get hurt, and of course, we're taking away farmland from good farmers around here, the lawsuits are gonna come back to the county anyway when it comes to a family getting hurt or if something happens, right, a rupture. We all trust that our supervisors are going to protect the people. Your guys' job is to protect us citizens in this county. So now if you know that we have a way to economically boost our county, why not Kossuth County, being the largest county, take the lead on this and start working with Carbon Sync? That's why we sent you all that video. Let's take the lead on this, and we know that other counties, Doyle's going around and talking to them, let's push together. Remember, we talked about this at the last meeting, that instead of leaving other counties out to dry and say, well, let's see what happens to them first, and then if they tank, well, then we know not to jump on that bandwagon. Let's take the lead and let's show them that we strongly believe that we're not only gonna protect our citizens, but we can help Iowa's economy as a whole. You guys get to take that lead on that. This would be an honorable thing for Kossuth County to do.
The better place would be to take it to our economic development office and give this information to them, because we have a very strong economic development office here in Palo Alto. And she's the one that takes the lead role in a lot of this stuff, and she'll contact those people, put meetings together.
Yeah, I think if you guys take that letter of intent and talk to her about that, do it from a supervisor role, because that's gonna show that you guys care about this community. And where people don't care how much you know, they wanna know how much you care. So this is where you guys can take the lead, instead of always putting it back on us citizens to go talk to the governor, go do this, go talk to economic development. Supervisors, go do it. You're gonna show this county that you really do care about your role in this county.
But it's a fallacy to think that Kossuth County is going to stop a pipeline that goes across 5 states if they approve economic development. Eminent domain, I'm sorry.
Well, I think if you look at Putney versus IUB, it lays out a formula to do precisely that.
Right.
And that essentially is what we're trying to do, is follow that formula.
What was the case law you just mentioned, Putney versus what?
Putney versus Iowa Utilities Board. And Putney lost that case
Yeah.
because Putney did not have an alternative and couldn't prove. See, the pipeline says that they're the safest way to handle CO2, and I agree with that. But that's not the real question. The real question is there a reason to transport CO2?
Is there a real reason to even capture CO2?
Well, that's legitimate, yes, but when we lost the IRA, when the IRA went through, then this is what we have to deal with. But at least we can turn this in so that our federal dollars are producing a product that we can sell and add value to our product.
My point is we have stupid fixing stupid.
What?
We have stupid fixing stupid at some point. I mean, CO2, 0.4% in the atmosphere has never been a problem, never will be,
No,
so
the
why are we
science does
fixing it?
not back this up,
No,
no.
Well, we got a lot of
Why-
business
why-
in front of us.
Why do they, put so much emphasis on not having this pipeline is gonna jeopardize our farmers, when right now, what various numbers you see, 30 to 50% of our corn is going for the production of ethanol? Why would that change if we don't have that pipeline? If that's the way it is now, what's gonna, not having that pipeline, how's that gonna change that?
Lots of
Sounds like a
theories on
false
that, but-
narrative to me, that they're making it sound like, oh, if we don't get this pipeline, the farmers are gonna go broke, they aren't gonna be able to sell any, corn for ethanol. Well, they're doing it now, what's gonna change that's gonna stop them from doing it the way they're doing it right now? Sounds like a bunch of BS to me.
well, the Russian embargo back in the 70s did the same thing.
Yep.
Killed the corn market.
Yep.
Yeah, some of you
The-
remember that.
The simple answer is federal government policies, or the carbon intensity score they talk about, but, I mean, not here to
That's all
debate that, but
speculative.
that's,
That isn't the way it is now.
Well,
look at the administration we have and you have your answer. Not up to me, but
we have a big agenda today, so I think we're gonna get
Do you
started.
hear- do you want us to stay for the meeting, or would you allow us to go into the workroom and let Doyle talk to some of these people?
I think, yeah, the old
We
boardroom.
have to check and see. Stacy, would you check with our office and make sure nobody has it reserved for this morning? And then if they don't, then absolutely.
If they don't,
Yeah.
is that all right with everybody? Okay.
I'd like to make one final comment, just as, over the past 2 weeks, there's a lot of conversation that goes on, a lot of rumors that fly around, a lot of, in regards to our discussions, our motions here in the boardroom. Please, if you are concerned, give me a call, give another supervisor a call, see where we're at. I don't wanna badmouth any media organizations, but there's been articles written around the area, that just aren't true. And people say things that kind of misconstrue the stories and stuff. So just please, and it was not our, outgoing media, but, just please reach out to us and wait, I'd be happy to talk with any of you, so, yeah. But thank you for being here today, and thank you to for sharing what you got, so.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, she's coming back in a minute, we'll give her 2 seconds here.
Hey Roger, I got another question real quick one. I've had people call me and ask me, you're taping the meetings. How come they're not, there's other counties where I could be sitting there watching the meeting at home right now, as this meeting's going on. They wanna know why Kossuth County, you can't do that.
They're uploaded to, what is it?
YouTube.
it'd be live
Yeah.
instead of
Oh.
after the fact.
So why is not Kossuth that way? Cause they're wondering, sometimes they gotta wait a day, 2, depends on it, they wanna be able to sit there and watch it right now, so that if they had to come in, they could come in
I
right
think we
away.
had a number of conversations about this before, while you were on the board even, so I think you should know the answer to that.
I was told that basically the IT guy didn't wanna do it. But why can the other counties do it and this one can't, is what I'm asking. Cause they said that they can, watch it later, or they can watch it live, either way. And for us, it's always watch it later.
It's all later.
That's why can't we do it live also?
Did you vote to not do it live when you were on the board?
You would?
Did
Yeah,
you vote to not do it live when you were on the board?
Well,
I
things are
think that
different now.
was a discussion that you were part of and made that decision.
yeah, that's been hashed
And it's up
over a
to you
number
guys
of
if you wanna do it
times.
that way.
I don't care what you say, cause you don't like me and I don't like you. I'll take grief from him, but not from you. You
Well,
are an elected official. You are supposed to show me respect. You understand
that
that?
goes 2 ways.
Yeah, give me something to respect, son. I respect the rest of them.
So thank you for checking.
Is it open?
Yes, it is, so.
Yeah, go ahead
Yeah.
and,
If you
and
don't
use,
mind,
use the old
we'll let you to
boardroom.
your business, but thank you for your
Yep.
time this
Yeah.
morning.
Yep.
Please look at those videos and then,
I did want to.
okay,
Yep,
awesome.
thanks for coming.
We're gonna go in the other room so you guys can talk to Doyle
If they want it to, I can.
I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda and minutes dated June 13th, 23.
Thank you.
So moved.
Carter,
Second.
Second, Josh? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. We had a bunch of claims. Did everybody have a chance to look at them in your folder?
No.
Any discussion on any of the claims? Seeing none, would you like to make a motion to approve the claims and conservation claims?
So,
Josh?
Yep.
Second,
No second.
Stecker? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll start passing.
Water real quick.
okay.
Got blood pressure pills.
That sounds good.
Oh, I'm already there.
I gotta eat salt once in a while to raise my blood pressure.
Their pickle juice is supposed to help with that.
This job? Air's working good today, Willie.
Yeah, it's a plus, ain't it?
That's help.
I think this county couldn't run without us.
That's why you're elected.
I know one county has tried to stop things through the IUB and they had no luck at all.
Is that on this or something else?
That was on something else,
Okay.
but the cases have never been won by the county.
Well, and that would've been before the numbers got changed.
But I think these members are all pretty,
I got lots of time today. Just a couple. Start to feel that purple.
I got a stamp on them on the way back.
Is that the last one?
Yeah,
You just needed some more practice time in your knees.
I got enough practice in the military.
You're getting rusty, Josh.
We don't want you falling
Since
out.
Jack's out, he hasn't signed it yet. He'll be signing for it.
he'll be signing for a little bit.
Sign it.
Dan, are you ready?
Yes.
You can-
I didn't even see him.
Yeah, he's been hiding behind the pole for you, that's why I
It's
called.
incognito.
Yeah. I thought we was gonna have to call you from across the street.
All right, did you get the email from last Friday I sent out ahead of time? Okay, great. All right, well, this would be my metrics for the end of May. So the office had 65 phone calls and 95 messages, 68 walk-ins, 31 scheduled appointments, with one of those being out of office. We did do a veterans transport and we got 7 hearing aids repaired for the veterans. Currently tracking 1,162 records. I've currently got 50 active claims in the VA system, 5 that are ready for decision, 21 that are under development that I'm currently working on. And I've got one supplemental and was able to get one healthcare re-enrollment done. As far as training, I did complete the national training virtually that was conducted at Madison, Wisconsin. I'm just awaiting for my CEUs. Also completed some suicide training as well at the end of May. And getting ready to go do some district training in Marshalltown. Part of that involves touring the Iowa Veterans Home, taking a look at the changes there and seeing what's been recently done under the leadership of the new Commandant. We do have an upcoming salute to veterans hunting with arrows at the Kossuth Speedway in July, so I attached that flyer. So that'll be coming up, something I'll be looking at here next month. Update on our commission status, it did receive 7 applications for to fill the commission vacancies. The interview process is actually going to take place this Thursday from 5 to 7. All of the applicants that the commissioners wanted to speak to have been telephonically contacted, and I sent them a letter of confirmation last Friday, so we're still tracking on that.
Are you holding them in the annex?
Yes, yes ma'am. And the goal again is to try and get them sworn in before the next meeting in July that the commissioners meet. Now, as a side note, I do have one commissioner that is working her resignation from a standpoint of her medical conditions, and I asked her to write a letter to the board for that formally. So we're looking at actually filling 3 positions instead of just the 2.
Okay.
And more to follow on that as I know. I'm currently drafting the quarterly report for your review for the month of July, working on that. And I've got about a 95% draft on my state grant monies, get ready to send it to the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs. With this update, I gave you kind of some highlights, just kind of the big bullet points from the National Training Conference that I went to. And the key thing that I kind of want to take away from that is, legislatively speaking, we have to go back to the well again. There was some legislation that was being worked on at the national level where federal monies to the tune of $50 million was being asked for, and that each state would receive a cut of that to help with the local county veteran service offices. Currently there's a Senate File 106 and a House Resolution 984, very similar. The Senate file talks about $50 million for 5 years, and that no state may receive more than 10%. And then of course, counties in that state would have to apply for that money. The House Resolution is $20 million for 5 years with 5% allocated to the state, so slightly a smaller cut. Don't know where that's going to land yet. The National Legislative Committee is still working on some of that. And of course, with the way current things are, that may or may not happen anyway. But that was a key takeaway. Another key takeaway was there currently VA is about 66,000 cases behind in appeals. Things are moving really, really slow. And so I have a lot of veterans who have active claims or surviving spouses that are not, my telephone calls are picking up because they're like, hey, I haven't heard anything. Do you have any updates for me? So processing times have really slowed down. And there are critical shortages to process those claims within VA at levels higher than myself. But as the secretary has pointed out, he is limited to the overall exact number that he can hire to put into the system to help mitigate some of that. And what he asked for versus what he received was about 50%. So he was looking for about 4,000 new employees, he got 2,000 instead. So I guess 2,000 is better than nothing. But with that, another key takeaway that the secretary has charged the VSOs with trying to improve is we have 9 million veterans out of 19 million veterans total that are enrolled in VA healthcare. He would like to see that number increased. 90% of those folks are men. So he wants to reach out to the female veterans and talk to those young women and see what we can do about getting them enrolled as well. The generation of veterans such as the World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and my generation have more trust with the VA. However, the post 9/11 veterans do not. So they're trying to address those issues and mitigate what's causing some of that. Right now too, if you have a veteran that is currently rated by VA and happens to file a claim under the PACT Act, they have a 32% chance, 32 times more likely chance of either getting approved for an increase or staying the same as opposed to a denial. So that review process is actually improving in terms of the actual service connection and nexus to those conditions and the veteran being granted those benefits. So the rest of that's self-explanatory. I know there was quite a bit of stuff there, but subject to your questions, that's all I have. July's starting to fill up already, and we're not even out of June yet, so plenty of stuff to do.
Job security.
I certainly hope so, Roger. I certainly hope so.
Any questions?
No,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Have a good one.
We are up to discussion on equipment purchases for fiscal year 23-24, and Will, your name's on this?
It is.
Yep, it says Will Stripper.
You've already put it in the budget, you just said I had to bring it before the board so it could be officially approved. For the trailer and the new scrubber.
Any questions for Will?
We already discussed it.
Yeah.
No questions?
Where
Yeah.
you have, or, where are we getting trailer from?
I should.
Yeah.
Do you have quotes or purchase prices on those?
Yeah, I gave them to you when we did the budget.
Okay, I don't.
You didn't tell us
didn't
what
see
you was
them in
gonna do
here.
with the old trailer, I guess.
Well, I was gonna ask that when you were, after you approved this, then there's something to do with the old trailer, what do you wanna do with it?
I suppose you put it out on, sealed bids is the safest way to get rid of it.
Okay,
Is that all right with you?
yeah, I don't care, I was thinking you
Well,
just take it down to Cooks and get some money, but
Yeah.
that's your
Well, we'll
choice.
put it out on bid, see if
That's
anybody
fine.
wants it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then, that's what we usually do with county equipment.
okay. That's gotta run for 2 weeks, correct? In the paper?
I think so.
We do, what we've done in the past is go deal site for all our own equipment, we've gotten some pretty good value. It runs for public auction for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and then it's open for bid anywhere. So, what do you get for your ambulance?
Yeah, I got 500 for that ambulance, that was probably not worth that, so.
And there's no, they take care of all financial, cutting bidders, and they just send you a check.
Don't look at me, look at them.
Yeah,
It's not my.
We need pictures, so.
I think for the trailer, just get rid of it locally.
doesn't matter to me, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd just as soon just put it in the paper and get rid of it locally.
You got it.
Everybody'd probably be happier. Somebody like to make a motion that we purchase equipment for 23-24 for courthouse?
I'll second.
Jack? And Carter? Yep. Any more discussion? Does that include putting the old trailer up on bids? Your motion?
Yeah, sure.
Is that fine? I could
didn't
just
know
put it
that-
all in one
that needs to be in the
motion.
motion, okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Thanks, Willie.
You're welcome.
Josh Wagner, you are on this timesheet software. But you're gonna let him start?
Yeah.
You are?
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, department heads were in and we were talking about possibility of adding timesheet tracking software. At that time, you asked me to get pricing for what the additional cost would be. We're looking at about a total of $6,000 per year. And I built in a tiny bit for inflation there, for the pricing. And that would be for a total of 94 licenses. It would not include secondary road crew outside of the office. That is an additional, annual total of just short of $5,000. Adding all Phil's new EMS folks as well, so.
5,000 more if the road department.
No, just 5,000 from what we currently pay right now for our license.
5,000 more than what we.
Correct, we already have, 3 departments that are using the software, so. And again, this is the department head decision, this is not the IT department bringing this to you. I was just asked to get the pricing, so.
Yep.
That's what we're at.
In regards to the question I had asked you if this would work with the pay scale we are on now, did you do any further checking on that?
Pay
Like
scale.
It
the
will
time
not,
frame?
it will not work with prepaid, we'd have to fix the prepaid in order for it
That's-
to work.
Yes, not, yeah, that is correct. Yes, my apologies.
Um,
So when we would implement this, we would have to address the prepaid situation.
And the $6,000 does not include the fee for solutions, right?
That is correct.
So there's
yes.
an additional, what was that?
One-time charge of between $3,500 and $6,000, we don't know for sure. Depends on how long, Solutions, which is the company that does all of our software for the county, including the payroll portion, that integration, so. What's that?
We said it doesn't work with the current, prepaid, so how the people are using it right now, are using it.
They're not turning it in, they're just using it internally. So they're just doing it in their department, they're not doing
Well,
anything with it.
I wouldn't see any reason to approve this until we fix the prepaid then. Might as well wait.
Do you,
We're not even sure we're gonna do that.
do you have a better feel on how this would
Yeah.
impact and how, if, I mean, time that would be saved or anything?
Yeah, so after talking to my department about it, if we implement this and hook it up to solutions, it'd be more beneficial, excluding secondary road, if all departments do it, because otherwise it's gonna be too hard. It's gonna be back and forth and knowing what departments are using this, what departments are doing paper, so to make it more efficient for our department, it's gonna be easier if all departments do it, not just here and there. And so I don't know if that number of 94 licenses includes everybody but secondary road or not.
Yes, that
It is everybody, okay.
Yeah. And conservation is in there as well. Conservation EMS.
So do you have a estimate that this is gonna save X number of hours or anything?
I don't know that it will save, the time that will be saved will be inputting vacation and sick time. That would be the only time savings really, I don't think it's gonna save a lot of time.
I guess I'm usually in favor of, updating things with the current time, but for 5,000 a year, that's a never-ending subscription. If it's not going to actually save us something and be, justifiable, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I said, unless we fix the prepaid, it's a moot point anyway. I don't see any reason to put something that we can't even use.
My comments regardless of that, I mean, it's an ongoing expense, there is the one upfront on top of that, but it's not something you're gonna get rid of down the road.
General consensus of the board is to wait and fix, prepaid before we make a decision on going to timesheet software.
I think that would be fine.
Is that the general consensus, or do you wanna vote on it, or is that just the decision that we make unanimously?
We can discuss it after we take care of that, that's fine.
I'm okay with discussing it again there, but I'm not
I
sure
don't
if
like
it's
to vote to do
justified.
nothing.
Yeah,
For clarification, and just make sure we're on the same page, EMS does wanna move forward with it, to keep track of their hours, they have a significantly.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Just wanna make sure we're okay.
But there won't be anything with solutions with that one. so
Correct,
it
there will
won't
not be
affect-
integration with our payroll system, it will be separate.
Yeah, they can sure use it. Yep. Track hours, I think it makes
Correct.
a lot of sense there, cause it's a very variable schedule.
Complicated schedule.
Do you wanna make a motion for that, so that that's in the minutes?
No, I don't think that
That's up
needs
to
it.
department heads, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
right now,
That would
And
be
that would just
my,
fall under their budget and stuff.
right, it comes under Phil's.
that wouldn't be a greater than 5,000.
No.
Yeah. That's consensus of the board?
Yep.
So, you could just let the minutes show that the consensus of the board is to not act on this at the present time, but to let Phil use it for tracking.
We are ready for you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. You wanna call Luke?
Just did.
Just did.
Okay. You're ahead of me.
Didn't see that.
No.
I didn't know anything.
I guess we got 2080 with the historical society too.
Yeah. Well, Luke, he said he was coming in right away.
Yep.
Luke,
Ready?
you are up.
Alright.
2080 agreement with
Morning.
Kossuth County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Yes, per our auditor's recommendation from a year or two ago, we should have a 2080 agreement with the board for the distribution of the funds that you provide to the Soil and Water Conservation District. So the 2080 that I typed up, not unique, I kind of used language from some of the others to put that together. So I didn't know if you've had a chance to review it or if you have any questions on it.
It was in our folder, yeah.
Okay.
We're good. I would move to approve the 2080.
I was just gonna say, I did send it to Todd for, approval, both of
Okay.
them, but I hadn't heard anything back, so,
Do we wanna
So,
call and
it's-
check quick?
I was just opening my email to see if I got anything this morning. It's taking a minute to open. No, I'm not seeing that I received any.
I'll try and-
Oh, wait, just a second, never mind, I did. Hold on, sorry. No, I see it on 28, or on historical, but I don't see anything on the soil and conservation, so.
Okay, I'll see if he answers quick.
Do you guys have any big projects that you're working on in the county this year?
Still working to get some
Station
stream
it's
signage
Kyle and
done.
Bolton. Did you
Blue
look at the
River watershed
2080
down in your
agreement
area,
for
so
soil
one we
and,
want to
Kossuth County
accomplish.
Soil and Water
Wright
Conservation
County's
District?
got
Any-
theirs done. The
any
county
issues?
process down there in the
Okay,
corner,
perfect,
so-
that's all we were gonna double check
So
on
we hope
quick.
to get that accomplished first, and all of that funding, was awarded through a grant in the Blue River watershed. So, which is nice, so that part's all
Historical
accounted for.
Society is
Yeah.
next.
It's, the funds will be
I
used to
see
help
his
fund the rest of the county.
Oh,
So
okay.
paved road crossings, whether it's, bridges, large culverts,
Okay,
kind of those areas.
sounds good.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mike.
That's what we have for a big project on the
We're
docket
good.
okay,
this year, so
You missed
otherwise
out
it's
on
continued outreach and education,
sure.
you know, is where our funds
Carter
are
did.
used, so.
Are you doing any more bus tours and things this summer?
Any what?
Any more bus tours and stuff going around the county this
I
summer?
don't think we have one
Okay.
scheduled for yet this year, so, that went over pretty well last year, which was really nice, so.
For the
Once we get a few
historical
more
one, did they just change
projects
to make it
constructed, the hope is to do that
Yeah, they
again
have
next
really-
year
Yeah.
and offer that again, so.
Yeah, he said he didn't have any issues if that was the
Yeah, he
change.
said that I forgot to attach the attachment to it, but I had told him that it.
You made one, Roger?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the 2080 agreement with Soil and Water Conservation District.
I'll second.
Motion and a second on the floor, any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carried unanimous.
Thanks, Luke.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you, I'll get you a copy of this.
Thank you.
Next, we have the 2080 agreement between Kossuth County and Historical Society.
And we had already had one that was yearly, this just changed it to make it perpetual, so
Is
it's
everybody
basically the same thing.
fine with making it perpetual, or do you wanna keep it yearly?
None of our others are yearly, this is the only one.
Yeah.
They just thought that it needed to be, that's the only reason they had it that way.
I'll
I'm a
make,
member of this board.
Are you, you wanna make the motion then?
Sure, I'll make
Being you're the member, you
I'll
wanna
second.
second it?
yeah,
Any more discussion on 2080 agreement with the Historical Society? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous. Phil, you're up. First thing we have is staffing and time card policy.
So that policy, we had on the agenda back the first part of May. Tammy, Donna, and myself had a conference call with the payroll attorney. Went through some items in that. When I made my changes, for some reason, part of them changed, part of them did not save. Kind of discovered yesterday that I was clicking out of it too quickly and it wasn't auto-saving by the time I got done. So the copy that I put in you guys' packet still had some wrong language in the paragraph regarding the when the time cards were due. That has been corrected. Then the other thing was on the effective date of July 2nd versus the July 1 effective date. Then Tammy also had a concern with some language under the compensation time, compensatory time. And basically what we did is just remove that second part of that first paragraph, Tammy. I just left it say as an employee may elect to receive comp time or paid leave in lieu of their work time, an employee may accrue a balance of compensatory time up to 56 hours period. Then we deleted the rest of that paragraph.
So you left that out?
Yep. We're not trying to rewrite the handbook with this, so, you know, if anything doesn't jive with the handbook, it's just better off to get rid of it. And does that clarify that okay with you?
Yeah,
you guys?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so that's,
There was just confusion on interpreting it a little
Correct.
bit, so that was the only issue.
and I get that, my intent was one way, and it
Yeah.
could be interpreted a different way, so we just took that sentence out completely, so. As far as I know, there shouldn't be any other issues, like I say, we have reviewed that with the payroll attorney as well, so. Other than that, it should be good to go. Has been through the advisory council. So I guess, is there any questions on that document?
The underlying part on changes in policy?
Yeah, he did change that, in the new copy that he sent.
Okay,
You're looking at the old copy, but, he did do it to non-material and material. I don't know what the difference is, but that's up to you guys. That doesn't affect me.
I think that's mostly with the scheduling and stuff, I don't know if that would ever come to fruition, but I don't have an issue with it, I guess.
What's the question?
about scheduling.
It's non-material
Non-material changes to the
and
temporary.
temporary deviations.
That's just that's the language that we had with the city policy. I'm fine with whatever. If you want me to come back, if we have a change, I'm fine with that. That was just the language that we had with this document with the city, that we had the ability to make minor changes. And then in the past.
And we had to implement, just depending on staffing levels at any, given time or demand, if there's an event, things might just have to shift a little bit to provide coverage, is why we had added that in our policy.
Well, I guess to me, you wouldn't need it because it only makes common sense. I don't know. That you have to change scheduling, you gotta change scheduling.
Right.
Yeah, and the copy that you sent me, you sent another one last night, right? Phil, or did I?
Yes.
So that copy that he sent, last night or this morning, whenever it was, is different than that one, because
Okay.
that was put in yesterday, so
I was
there's
yesterday with
another.
Kyle, and I figured out it didn't say.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's a little bit different than the one that he's having approved now. It just it breaks it down a little bit.
so you're too quick on your
I
clicker.
guess, 'cause I did it again yesterday.
Yeah, cause he was typing through stuff and it has the auto save up at the top,
Yeah.
but he didn't let the computer sit still long enough to actually save it, so it was waiting for the next change that was coming. And then he'd go off and close out of it and it wouldn't be saved and.
You'd make a poor attorney, Phil.
Right? Yeah.
But we figured, yeah, once I watched what he was doing, it was a short diagnosis.
Usually there's a backup in that though when you X
Well,
out.
if the computer would be faster, I wouldn't have that issue.
Then it'll ask you if you want to save changes.
Well, he could have saved them manually, but the auto save function, it waits until you're, settled and then saves, but
I think it's
yeah.
got like a 30-second.
Any other questions on
It's
the
about that.
staffing and time card policy for the EMS? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve it.
I'll
Mr.
second.
I have a motion and a second, did you get that? Stecker and Carter?
What-
Josh.
Josh, I mean,
That's what I thought I heard.
yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I have a motion and a second on the floor, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Alright,
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous.
Do you have a copy of that
Yeah, I have a folder here, I'll give it to you, Tammy.
for us to sign?
Yes.
Because I think the copy that I have is incorrect, so.
Yes, I have a folder with all the cards.
Thank you.
And the next one is decision to approve county emergency medical service rate scale.
So this is the rate scale that we put together at the last EMS advisory console, so effective, in July when we start billing for services, this is the rates that we will charge, the insurance companies for the services that we provide. These are based off recommendations that we received from the billing company. It's also based on, what Medicare, Medicaid, and Blue Cross Blue Shield contracts will pay us. So these numbers are above what all of those providers pay, because if we have like work comp or car insurance or some items like that that pays the full rates, we have a chance to make up a little extra money. So for example, Blue Cross pays like $650 on the BLS emergency, and we're charging $800, so we're about $150 over what Medicare charges on our rates. So like I say, we did review those with the EMS advisory board, went through them line by line. We can do that here, if anybody has questions or.
I just had a quick, non-transportation, you got $100, do you charge that
Yes,
normally?
yes.
actually, wasn't it higher than that?
We were charging 200.
200.
The problem with the 200 is the residents that are on Medicaid patients, you know, they only get $50 a month to live on. And we're charging them $200 for a service. It shouldn't be a burdensome to them people. They do have an opportunity to collect $50 of that back from their insurance carrier. So in essence, at 100, they would only be out the extra $50 versus the 150, so.
And part of it's a deterrence factor to not abuse the system. But still, it's kind of a happy medium
Prior to
between
us,
being a burden
You
to
know, we were
them
getting a lot
and
of
the
calls
system.
prior to us charging that for,
Yeah.
you know, lift assist. We'd go to a house to help somebody up, to go to the restroom or to go to the kitchen or whatever, so it was getting abused. It's, you know, we're
And
not there to
that's not what
provide
the
that
system's
service,
for.
we're there to provide if you truly need care.
Yeah.
So it did deter that some. So we'll see what happens with this rate.
$20 a mile?
Yes. A loaded mile.
Loaded mile.
And then the bottom two, the very bottom two is something else that we probably should address, the tiering charges. So that's when our So currently, when we started the system back in 2020, we weren't charging the other services in Kossuth County for our service, for tiering with them. They were able to bill at the ALS rate, and we just provided that service to them because we were using tax dollars to pay for that. We did find out from Medicare that we cannot do that anymore. We have to charge them something to be able to bill at the ALS rate. So we're gonna charge $50 to the services in county. That's about what they get reimbursed back for the tiered call. So it kind of washes itself out there, but we'll get that little bit of income back. And then for services that are outside of Kossuth County, the kind of going rate for a tier charge is $250. That's if they transport the patient, but we get in their ambulance to assist them. That's what we charge the tier for. If we actually take that patient and take them to the hospital, then we bill the patient and we do not charge for the tiering charge. It's only if we jump in somebody else's ambulance to help them. So a good example would be like West Bend, if they are coming this way and we meet with them and jump in their vehicle to help them the rest of the way to the hospital. That's when that charge would be incurred.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to approve the
Stecker makes motion to
rates.
approve. Josh makes the second.
Sure.
Any other question? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the Kossuth County Emergency Medical Services rates, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Next, we're up to, delivery date for the new ambulance.
So a few weeks ago, we accepted bids for the purchase of the new ambulance, and we were discussing holding off on purchasing that ambulance till July of 2024 to get through the first budget year. Due to price increases and things that are going on with chassis, we could see a substantial price increase if we wait. So we have two options. We could purchase the chassis. We do have the availability to buy a 2024 chassis. We'd actually own the chassis. Then we could they would hang on to the chassis until we told them to go ahead and build the ambulance. By them holding on to the chassis until then, our warranty would not begin until the ambulance was actually delivered. So it does not begin when we take delivery of the chassis. It begins when we take delivery of the completed ambulance. But that would lock in a 2024 chassis instead of, if we push this back, we'll be changing to a 2025 chassis and possible price increase. The other option is to just go ahead and build the ambulance and just take delivery whenever they get it built. It might be 4, 5, 6 months prior to July 1st. The only reason we pushed it back was not knowing exactly, first year of a new budget, where the numbers were gonna fall. Just felt a little more secure waiting. But we do have the $225,000 from ARPA money that's going towards the purchase of this ambulance. So we could take the delivery earlier, avoid the increases, and just tell them to go ahead and build the ambulance and take delivery of sometime in calendar year 2024, probably the first part of 2024, rather than July of 24. So it'd be a few months earlier, but it would be in the first budget year instead of the second budget year. We do have $150,000 in our budget for the first year towards capital purchases, so the extra over and above what ARPA's paying could come out of that. We would still have money left in that. We just have to watch our spending for the remainder of this first year, especially under that line, to make sure that we aren't short the first year. So also the cotton power load, which is the next item on the agenda, is also part of the purchase of that. They're also looking at a 5 to 10% increase come October 1st. They're also discontinuing. The reason you had two quotes was they was about $10,000 different. That cheaper cot is being discontinued. So if we wait we'll have a $10,000 higher cot plus the 5 to 10% price increase on top of that. So that equipment, if we do not purchase the ambulance, we could prepay and actually take ownership of that equipment. We would just have it sitting in our facility until we took delivery. So it wouldn't really be a prepay because we're actually purchasing something and taking ownership of that item, and would actually have it physical control of that equipment once we paid for it. My recommendation is I would just like to see you just pursue, let's just buy the truck and be done with it. Besides the extra cost it could incur, it's gonna save us a lot of maintenance fees on a couple of the ambulances that we're currently running with.
You still got them old 6.0 Fords yet?
Yep,
2 of them?
yep,
They were junk.
yep.
Tell me about it.
We noted that on the inventory somehow going.
I don't know if we even
sign-
wanna take them, you know?
Sign that into it.
So we have one ambulance coming in August, the one that the city paid for. And then the second ambulance, which will replace those 2 vehicles.
Okay. I don't know, it's my opinion that the sooner you get it and get it in service, probably the better off we will be financially.
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean, there's
long
no
run.
reason not to. We just thought if we waited till July, we'd have 1 year's budget under our belt but I'm comfortable with where we're at and what the projections are, that we should be fine.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to purchase the ambulance.
Just a reminder that there is no money in that budget until we get taxes, so
Right.
whatever you do is fine, I just wanted to remind you that until we collect taxes, there will not be any funds in that budget.
We will not spend any money out of there until we get the money.
Yeah, we'll address that on the side of this topic, but yeah.
Yeah,
If there is anything we have to prepay, we could always use money from the ARPA. I don't foresee any prepayment until we take delivery unless it's on the cot, because that comes from a separate company.
The auditing
Well, I
firm
would-
is not like.
yeah, I think you're better off if you would wait until we had the money instead of, if you have to prepay, hold them off.
I know nothing will be delivered before October,
Okay,
so it shouldn't be an issue.
okay,
We're probably looking more like the,
yeah,
February, March area.
cause we don't want Elizabeth to come down on us.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yep, so if you can hold that off that long till there's money in the account, it would work better.
We'll just get our name on the
Yep, get your name on the
bill
list.
list and go from there.
Yep. I would entertain a motion, I would make the motion for the new ambulance purchase.
I'll second it to move forward right away.
Yeah, to move forward, but with the contention that you're not gonna write any checks until we actually have money in the account. Any more discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next thing is, PowerCot Skype.
No, that was done too.
Well, that's
We have to have a
It's a
second.
We have
separate
motion.
agenda item, but that was discussed as with the same thing Phil just talked about, so.
Yeah, it's
So-
$62,164.40 at the present time is what you're telling us.
Well, the other one's at 55. Which is why,
$55,387.17. We're voting to approve that one.
You're gonna vote to approve the 55,000. Is that your
Okay.
motion?
I'll second.
I'll make it.
The motion is to approve the $55,000 cot, correct? That would be the older one, not the new one.
Correct.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
We put in the motion with the understanding that it won't be paid for until.
Right.
Okay.
Until the money's in the account,
Until funds are available or,
yeah.
yeah.
Then you're still up yet.
couple more.
Popular today.
We
In
have,
that time of the year, we gotta get the stuff wrapped up.
we have a lease agreement
Yeah, so we invited Jacob Jaden, I don't know if part of the new guys, this is Jacob Jaden with City Administrator of the City of Algona. Him and I have worked together for the last 3 years on EMS and to get us to where we're at today, so I wanna thank him for everything that, you know, him and the City of Algona have done to get to this point. We did have a council meeting last night with the City of Algona. We did approve this lease agreement, also did approve the next item on the agenda, which is the transfer of the lease agreement. So anyway, on this asset transfer, we did meet with Todd yesterday.
So the, assignment of EMS leases first for the hospital one.
Right. Oh, the hospital was first.
Then the transition agreement.
Okay, so the assignment of lease for the hospital, I did meet with the hospital, they had this on their agenda last meeting they had. And discussed this, everything is in order with them. They are meeting tomorrow and they're signing this lease agreement tomorrow at the hospital board meeting. It was signed, it was approved last night by the City of Algona to assign that property over to the lease ground under the property over to that lease over. It's a 99-year lease, began in 1994. So we're just assuming that same lease for EMS for the building to sit on.
And the stuff that was highlighted was from the city's attorney. Todd did not have any issues with that, so the final version.
So we added in agreement under the title, because the original one just said assignment of lease. The city's attorney wanted to say assignment of lease agreement. And then down in that, I think it's the second sentence, we also added in lease agreement there. Just to pertain to the actual, what the original lease was called, which was a lease agreement. And then we removed that one sentence and then that whole paragraph number 5. And we did present that to Todd yesterday morning. Todd approved that change, and the reading that was approved last night at the city council was with those changes made. So we need to approve it with the same changes, and the hospital has that same document as well.
I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make that motion to approve.
And I'll second.
I have a motion by Stecker and a second by Josh. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous. You're not done yet. Are you done now?
No.
No more.
Nope.
No.
Last one.
The big one's next. So on the assignment, the emergency medical service transition agreement, that's the one that we originally tried to write with both Sway City, Algona, and Kossuth County. It got kind of complicated trying to have the 3 entities involved, plus if we would have had one change to one of the entities, like the location moved for one of the entities, the whole agreement would cancel. So we made the decision to separate those into 2 separate agreements, which we continued, you know, trying to work with both communities, and where we're at today is wrapping up the Algona one. We do have an agreement on the language. It has been presented to the county's attorney. Todd has reviewed this. We met with them again yesterday morning and finalized a couple of those minor changes that we had just on a couple of the wording things. Was presented to Paul Doster, the city's attorney, and it was presented to the city council meeting last night. So I guess, do you have anything you want to bring up about the agreement, or, you know, we had been talking about.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, kind of just in brief, what the agreement does is transfer all city-owned assets to the county effective July 2nd at 7 a.m. So that includes the 2 cars, the 4 ambulances, the 1 ambulance ordered but is not yet delivered. Still said should be in August, as well as the building on the leased land. One of the restrictions with that lease is that facility can only ever be used for emergency medical services. So that could still be assigned, but you know, that's the use of it. And then it's all equipment, supplies within the building. Vehicles are attached there too. So some of the larger items we note, and then Kind of the last section is just a snapshot of our, kind of daily rotating inventory, just kind of as a representation of, this is, kind of what's being transferred in terms of ownership. But, just due to the nature of the service, those amounts change day to day and when orders arrive, when they're used. So just included that as a snapshot of when this agreement was prepared. This is where we're at, just from the city's perspective with all these assets being transferred over. We just wanted to, to document some of them specifically, but others just kind of general what that all includes.
So you're comfortable after 10 years if the county votes not to have an ambulance service?
So we have written this where it protects them coming back, just like it protects us going in, so they would receive the assets back. As far as the assets go, there's also language in there on the financials.
And it's the modern day equivalent, it's not, it's not specific item for item.
It's inventory left
It's-
or modern day equivalent. So,
Yeah.
or the financial ability to purchase the modern day equivalent if we don't have something, so. We do not see an issue there either way, where it should be able to provide this service coming into the county and also provide it if or whatever revert back to the city. The only other thing I have to add to this is, we've been talking in the past about what Algona's financials are for this fiscal year. We've been talking about we're probably gonna be in the red of the fiscal year because we're paying those extra expenses at the end of this fiscal year. Due to great management over the last couple months, I'm kind of happy to say that we're kind of projecting we're gonna be in the black. So, even though we have the extra expenses. So that's a positive for where our current state is. It's not gonna be a lot of dollars. It might be pretty close to being even, but we're kind of predicting that versus being a few 10, 20, 30,000 in the red.
Do you have the number off the top of your head for, the call revenue that's outstanding for Algona? I know I asked that yesterday, but then I forgot to ask you when you
I
actually
tried to pull it up yesterday and I couldn't get that, the billing company's website to open up. I don't know if they have any internet issues or website issues, but I don't have an exact number. I mean, I could estimate probably a couple 100,000.
I thought last time we looked, it was between 200,000 and 300,000.
Well, and I know some of PCC, the billing company, that's helped kind of these last couple of months as they had been further behind than they should be, and so we've been on them like, hey, we need to get these current so we can make accurate projections and, with this transition coming up, so they've ramped that up, and so some of the projections we had, is kind of, we can make assumptions, but they're assumptions, so now that we have actuals, some of that revenue that was outstanding, that's come in, and that's been at a higher rate than what we had used in.
So being that's coming at a higher rate, our accounts receivable is probably a little bit
Probably
lower
going
rate.
down.
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable to say there's probably, at least still around that $200,000 number that's out.
Just so everyone's got an idea of it, but
So
yeah.
that's gives us some revenue coming in right away instead of waiting until October for our first tax dollars. That's kind of the idea of how this was written, so, cause we knew we wouldn't have any money till October, but this gives us money coming in. Also, if it ever revert back, it gives them money to begin with as well, coming back the other direction.
So you don't think we'll need an internal loan to get you started, or do you wanna hold that just in case?
We may have to hold that just in case, because I don't know, as they ramp things up to get things cleared up, how much money is gonna come in, how much of that 200,000 is on a payment plan. Some people that don't have insurance write payment plans, so it might be paid over a 5-year time period. So, we'll get that money, but it might be delayed.
We'll start a process for an internal loan, make sure that you can start at least. We'll have to do that pretty soon, so we'll get it in place by the second of July.
I think that'll be safe. I mean, we have the revenue projected that we know we're gonna get some revenue. We just, to say exactly how much that is a guess.
And then itself as well, so beginning of FY '24, obviously the city will continue to see revenues for services, provided in '23. So those revenues will initially be split 50-50, 50 staying to the city, 50 going to the county, until we've closed out any expenses we have, that bills that come in '24 for '23 services, or if we end up having the deficit, which it looks like if we do, it will be minimal. So I don't expect it will be more than a month or two, that will have that 50-50 revenue stream, split, and then after that, just all the revenues that city EMS receives for the 23 services will be redirected, to the service with the county.
Anybody have any questions on the transfer of assets from the city of Algona to Kossuth County?
I did talk to Elizabeth yesterday about the financial transition because to me, it's pretty vague, it's not very clear. And, if it does happen in 10 years, how, we're gonna make sure that we have to follow the policy as it's written. So knowing what that is kind of vague. Of course, it's up to you guys to approve it or not. My concern is it clear enough in 10 years for us to know what that means?
So, when we had talked the other day with the defined service area, I could understand how that would be a term that's used in different lights and stuff.
I did bring my map.
Do you have, okay, that helps, but in the final draft, did you add 911
Yes.
service area to that?
Yes.
Okay, so if we add this, city's defined 911 service area, that would
That clears up that.
more clearly describe that it's geography rather than a line in the budget.
That clears up that issue, yes. The only other issue would be future revenues minus any debt, costs, or expenses remaining. What does that mean? Because in 10 years, if that happens, they're gonna wonder, what is that including?
Means any debt the EMS budget has remaining is paid off before any money is transferred back.
Yeah, I don't know what wouldn't be clear there, I guess, if you have, it says future revenues minus any debt, costs, or other expenses remaining, if any.
Elizabeth's concern yesterday was also the same. It's a little dubious, but was the word she used. But if you guys are comfortable, it's just gonna be the idea of making sure that when it happens or if it happens, that this is followed to the T. That's what will be audited, is what we do is following this, and whether this is enough for the auditing firm to follow.
Yeah, I guess, she called me back after she had talked to you and, said from an auditing perspective, she couldn't give any advice that way, but, it was just whether it was followed out and carried out, so I guess with the language Todd's put in there, I don't know what more could be added to clarify that, I guess, I don't.
We could separate the rolling stock and physical.
Separate what?
Building might be different 10 years from now.
I guess the county attorney
that's-
has approved it, the city's attorney has approved it, I don't know how
Yeah.
much more.
That's all part of the service, so I don't know if you can really draw a bunch of lines in the middle and cut it up.
From the city's perspective, the intent in that is, if we're in the red at the end of the year, for services rendered, those future revenues that we haven't received yet should go to make the city whole before that transition takes place.
That's
Yeah.
what this says.
Yeah, whereas,
That's exactly what it
and so
says.
it would be the exact same way coming back, or if there's a positive fund balance that was earned by the service, that goes, and if there's a positive, that would come back. Hopefully, we don't find ourselves, I can't imagine a situation where it'd be in the best interest of the citizens of Algona or the county to see it come back to the city, but just more or less have it set up so the same way it's going out, if it ever were have to revert back, it's the same process coming back.
My mind jumped to a conclusion that if the city didn't want it and somebody else wanted to take it over, what would you do?
I don't think that's
Probably not
a option in this
not an
agreement.
option, but
Because the whole concept of this is to, I guess, jump in if you guys have any better way to say this, but flip a switch in regards to organization, so the service function, the 911 calls are still answered, all that, but it switches from city to county and everything goes with it, and everything would go back if it was to reverse. It's just changing the name and organization would be probably the simplest way you could possibly describe it, but it's structured in a way that it is reciprocal going and coming.
I guess to answer Roger's question a little bit on that is, if, let's say we did have a private company that came in and said they wanted to take over EMS in Kossuth County. This language does not address that, nor, and I don't feel it should address that. That should be something that's addressed between the city of Algonah, a city council, and then the board of supervisors, if you want that to happen, and at that time to determine if you're going to fund them any money or equipment up front to start a business that they wanna start. I guess that would come down to that point, if the two entities requested them to come in and bid it, or if they're just coming in trying to bid it, you know, how much you want to work with them. So I don't know how we could really address that, because there'd be too many factors involved into that, you know, on why they came, so I think we just need to worry about.
Separate agreement.
Plus, that avenue was explored,
And nobody was willing to come in at this time.
with our population and call volume and everything, it doesn't financially make sense, hence why this is supported by tax dollars. So if our population continues to go down, I don't see that ever happening unless Medicare, Medicaid, insurance reimbursement rates go through the roof, which I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't see that happening either, so. I don't think we could possibly prepare for a situation like that in this agreement. It would have to be a mutual decision down the road.
And there's a lot of discussion on how we word this, because with the unknown, it might be 5, 10, 20 years, and I mean, just what EMS was 10, 20 years ago compared to today and how much has changed. You know, it's just how, you know, even if you try to get the specifics of how it's all structured, funded, state, federal, you know, can all change, so try to keep it, you know, have the principles in there and how it's going to work and then be applied at the time.
And that's why it's difficult to do that, because you don't know. And that's why, you know, I'm just letting you know that, you know,
Well,
I don't see any issues and hopefully won't be any issues, but that would be my.
I don't know what we could make it any better, so I would entertain a motion to approve the medical service
Transition agreement?
Yep.
So moved.
I have a motion by Kyle.
Is this one just for the city of Algonah? Does that?
Just for the city.
Is it okay if I add that to it?
Yep. Right. Yep.
And I'm sorry, who's seconded that?
Carter.
Josh did.
Josh.
Josh.
Okay, thank you.
Carter's gotta be quicker. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, would you please say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Are we done, Phil?
I'm done.
Done for today.
I'm going on vacation for 2 months.
I know you're not.
Try again.
You wanna do Doug?
We are ready for
Break?
you.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks.
Yep.
I have questions.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll get that. Do you want the originals? I don't know that we'll get this, so we'll put it in our policy book as done, so I'll get you the original.
I got a bunch of other policies to
Okay.
get back there signed too.
Okay.
These other ones, we just, well, I don't care if you keep them or what, but when I get the rest of the signatures, like from the hospital tomorrow, then we can compile it all
Absolutely,
together.
yep, okay, sounds good.
And I don't have the cities back either from last night yet, but we'll just compile it.
Thanks for being
Okay,
here, Dave.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
See you later.
Get them all together, we'll sign them all.
Yeah, it took a while, but yeah, all good things must come to an end.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Bill.
Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't.
No. Well, it's so loose.
That's my only concern is that, well, I won't be here in 10 years. I'll be retired, so I
That's
wanna
just
make
your-
sure that
That's
the
just
person.
your imagination that you're gonna be retired.
Now, are we
We're gonna
taking,
say no.
are we taking a break?
Just like
Doug's
a
coming
minute
up.
here,
You
just
got time. Go ahead. We'll hold
refill.
Doug off a while.
What time was the picnic tonight? Was it 6:30? Or
4:30?
4:30?
4:30 to 6:30.
I think I wrote it down. Maybe I did.
Is it?
I have it in my calendar here, just
Do
like
you? I just got it wrote down.
4:30 to 6.
I didn't even write it down.
Yeah,
Where's it at? At the park out here?
that's also in my calendar. I didn't look that close. I'll get there this afternoon. How's Spencer today?
Not too bad.
Good deal.
Did you get rid of that old grumpy old man yet?
We're close, Roger.
Are you really close?
Just a few weeks away.
Just a few
Is
weeks?
is
Oh,
there actually a
darn.
date set?
Yep, July 14th, we got,
Oh boy.
date set in stone, so.
I finished done that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, he's been pushing it off, and he finally picked a date. We think maybe his wife gave him the ultimatum.
Most likely.
So seems to be at peace with it, ready to retire, so that's good. Yeah.
Well, he's been there a long time.
Yeah, he's been at it for over 30 years.
Yeah. You gonna keep Minnesota in line then?
We'll try to, let's see, do what we can. Morning, how's it going? Good. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Did you write the times down now for the picnic?
I did. Can't forget it now.
Just don't forget to tell the boss.
That's right. Oh, I just told Kaylee.
There
Just
you go.
remind me, because we got invited to supper tonight. I told her kind of picnic and that. Told Kaylee. Where was it at?
Pretty sure it's at Smith Lake.
Smith Lake.
What?
The picnic tonight.
Yeah,
Smith Lake.
Smith Lake Shelter House. Not the nature center, the shelter
On the
house
other
that's
side.
on the other side,
Yep.
the south side of the lake.
Very good. You know, I know they make more money out there having the campers and stuff, but I do kind of miss how these, like all the trees
Mhm.
being there, yeah.
There's been some times it's been kinda, empty with their new policy.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's working out the way they
what was the new
intended.
policy?
Yeah, I've seen on Facebook some people
There's,
complaining.
there's definitely people that are not happy about that.
What
It's
is in the new policy that
a
people?
certain, I don't know specifics on it, but it's a certain time frame you can be there, and then you have to like rebook or move out and come back to a different spot or something.
Were they trying to not have people camp over summer then?
Kind of, yeah. To get more availability for people who couldn't get in previously, which I understand that, but if you have a large
Consistent
portion that are
revenue.
open,
Did they take out a bunch of trees or something? Is that what they did there?
They took
Yeah,
out,
they
they took
did
out
some.
a bunch of trees and made that area.
Because people were talking about it on Facebook that at Just Camp, that now it's louder and they have more wind now because of the tree removal.
that
So,
would make sense.
Yeah, there are some people talking about how they liked it better before, so.
Well, I don't know. It is definitely, it's a lot bigger campsite now, for sure. Yeah. More.
And I go out there fishing all the time and there is
It's,
quite a few
I
times
thought I
that
heard
there is
that up here.
campers, they are
I thought you called it.
I
in
did.
that one spot all
He's
summer, like,
talking down at the bottom of the steps.
Oh, does he know we're waiting for him?
He's down there talking to Gail and the,
Oh, they also do.
well,
Some of
Gail-
Some of them.
we have it down at the bottom of the steps now.
Okay. Josh, go get him.
Yeah, Josh
Go get him,
Fowler.
Josh.
I hear
Maybe.
him. No, you got it, John.
It's the second worst job in the county,
What is?
being a county engineer. You're never gonna be right.
What's the first?
Being the auditor.
Just kidding, I'm just kidding. It's not true.
Good to see you. Yeah, nice to see you too. What's new? Oh, not too much, just coming after it. So, good.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey,
Linda,
oh, Josh coming?
Josh is taking his second break.
I think it's more water.
That's not good for you. Fish swim in that stuff.
hopefully not that water.
We are up to road construction on the road right away. I didn't see any.
There is no request for construction of the road right away.
So then we're up to discussion with our county engineer and zoning administrator.
Resurfacing projects, Cold Place project is, the Cold Place part of the resurfacing project is complete. There is one area that is kind of concerning out there. If it would unravel, we will be putting a full depth patch in it to resolve that issue, but we are watching it right now. But we gotta see what happens as things progress. The federally funded bridge project south of Titanca, it either is gonna start the beginning of next week or after July 4th, is the way they were talking. So they thought, Graves Construction is contractor, they thought it was more after July 4th, that holiday. Algona Airport, I just spoke with Jacob Jaden, and the city council did approve the federal funding agreement, and that means that it can start August 15, and they are expecting the contractor to start shortly after, or if not on, the 15th of August. The microsurfacing project, Highway 169, is complete as far as we know. It certainly appears that way. And they just started up on Highway 15, so now we have a detour P30 and B19 is what I think it is. Kossuth County, the Kossuth Wind Project, we issued a certificate of completion for the road use agreement, so that's taken care of. We got some open positions. We're advertising for the transfer station. We just took a truck over to Decorah. The exhaust on it, one box had failed, so they're completing repair on that. That's gonna be pretty expensive repair, $20,000, maybe more. We also, the hook truck from the transfer station needed some work done, and it's at Decorah right now to get that work completed. Reddings, not Reddings, but Dump It is hauling our recycling boxes temporarily until we get that hook truck back. Other than that, that's really all that I have.
How are we coming on those mechanic positions?
I'm doing a little bit more reviewing. I did get some references, and I need to visit with them to see how everything's going.
Okay. We got 2 candidates for that you're.
We interviewed 3.
3?
candidates, yeah.
Okay. And those are all for the Algona shop, or?
Yeah, we only have one mechanic
Yeah,
shop.
there's only one mechanic shop.
Is there?
I was thinking there was one here for some other reason.
Just north side of town.
Up by, up in Tyke, on the northeast corner of town, there was on the north shoulder, kinda right as you're going out of town, there's maybe need some work there, rock or something to, that was brought to my attention by, that, something's wrong with it. Is there a drop off there? If a person were to swerve off the road there, I don't know, Mike, if somebody's driving by, it would be worth taking a look.
Okay,
Is that on the blacktop that
On the
goes out of the
blacktop,
county
yeah,
pit?
yeah, on the big six road, going,
going east, eastbound on the
well,
north?
it'd be going westbound on the north side of the road, is what I was told.
But it's on the east side of Titanville.
East side of Titanville, yeah, yep.
Well, you're on the big 6 road.
Right.
Yeah, that would be. Wonder if that'd be by the cemetery and all that.
Yeah, in that area,
Okay.
but I don't know specifically.
We'll review that.
Other than that, no.
Alright. That, department head meeting, were you guys just gonna get a hold of us for that? Do you have any idea how long, the next few items are gonna be by any chance?
We just have the
Say.
update on the lateral one, so I don't know how long.
Okay.
And then drainage repair requests and then.
10:15, 10:30 maybe?
10,
Probably 10:30.
We can aim
10:30.
for 10.
We're gonna,
Right,
we'll
probably.
take a break in here someplace, so it'll
Good
be
enough.
10:30.
just
Yeah.
kinda get curious.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Okay, very good,
Yep.
thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks.
Alright, have a good day.
Yep.
You too.
We are up to DD 90 lateral 1 tile project.
You wanna grab Marjorie, you want me to
No.
call? Okay.
You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Yeah, well, I was
Yeah.
not here, I can probably do it in 3 if I need to.
And I passed out, the thing from the Drainage District Association.
Okay.
With the law change to the board a week or two ago, whatever it was,
Yeah, I think it was last.
2 weeks ago, I think.
Okay, I printed one, but if you all have it already, then
Yep.
perfect. Just handing out some maps, and then I put together, since we've got a couple new board members, just a brief timeline of the project so we can get everyone up to speed.
About Germania?
You bet.
This is Lakota.
No, it's Germania.
Not even in your lifetime, Roger. Hasn't been
It's still in the bank. If you go in the bank in Lakota, you can still see Germania
Can you?
on the safe.
Okay.
I can't say that I've ever been in there.
I don't bank frequently in Lakota.
Don't you? It's good. It's a subsidiary of Buffalo Center.
Okay.
Morning, Mark.
Back now that Katie lives with the bank.
Probably 10:30 by the
I was
time.
just gonna come ask,
Yeah,
is there things I work on?
Yeah, I'm gonna send out an email now, but probably about 10.
10:30? Perfect. 10:30.
The water's not coming out of that pipe very quickly.
No, I was gonna share some, drone videos here that.
But it was getting dried up there. It was close until, this last rain we had, so
Yeah.
we're getting somewhere.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so, well, first of all, good to meet a couple of the new board members here. Officially, I guess we met in passing, but, Spencer Peck with ISG. Previously worked with Ivan Dressler, senior civil engineer, on drainage projects. As you might have heard earlier, Ivan is officially retiring now finally, next month. So I recently got my professional engineer's license, so I'm taking over all the projects I've been working with on Ivan. Been involved with Kossuth County in this project as well as some previous ones since 2019, 2020. This one, I believe, we started in early 2021. So the timeline there kind of lays out the previous action and items that have happened in this project. Also on your plat here, just shows kind of the location. We're talking right around Lakota. I do have a drone video here just to kind of show kind of the
this is about a month old, early May, we had somebody in the area, so I had them grab a flight of this. But we're starting down here at the bottom where the tile outlets into the open ditch, and then we'll just follow the tile up along a little ways here, so. So you can see here, this was, I believe, like the 11th of May is the date that's coming to mind. You can see the tile outlet was flowing. Generally, this lower end here doesn't look too bad. It's my understanding, Kyle, is this the area that repairs were done last summer?
Yep,
So
I was just gonna mention that, you got that highlighted correctly.
So,
there was a lot of trees and a fence and stuff that was gone through. You can pretty well see the area that was, disturbed during that construction. And then the tile you can see the tile continues on, kinda straightens out to the east until it crosses the road there. And then, gets over towards the side and hooks up to the north. And you can see spots were dug up there. And that's the
It's
work
that next bunch of trees there.
Yep, now we're up to that next issue.
So yeah, what we flew past was the 2022 issues, correct, that were resolved?
Yep,
And
that was repaired with non-perforated and is functioning. Now we're up to the next line of issues.
Right along the east side of Looker Road.
Yep. And then you see the oceanfront property.
Yeah. And is, do you know, Kyle, where was this located at out here? Is it running, I know we originally thought potentially it was running up through into the park here.
I don't have specifics, and I don't know if there's a spot on the map. I don't know exactly where in that trench it is off the top of my head.
But we had similar tree root issues through here.
Yeah,
as well,
and
again.
we have photos to document that.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's right underneath the trees.
Is it? And it could be, I know the
I
old
think
class
it's
kind of
close,
showed.
I don't know exact though.
And there is, it actually cuts kind of straight east almost, and then where it crosses this road here, there is an intake in this road ditch.
Yep, we did find that intake this spring.
You did?
Yep, barely.
Yeah.
It actually looked like a washout, like a hole in there, and then got down and uncovered it, and there was grass over top of a grate. So.
I've never found it.
Yeah.
We,
actually, if you go back to where it crosses the road, I can probably point it out.
Yeah, we'll put in this video here.
Okay, actually pause it there.
Yeah, I think it looks like maybe right there.
There's a fence post there, that's close.
There's a little bit of a hole right there, it looks like.
I think you're right, cause it is past those, but it might even be up in here, it's hard to tell in the picture, but yeah, it's in that area for sure.
Why don't you point out the railroad
Yeah.
trestle as long as you're standing there?
And you can see.
Yeah, you can see that pretty clearly.
Railroad, the tile does cross, there's a
Right
railroad
through
bridge
there.
there,
Yep.
and it does cross under the bridge, there's intakes now on each side, is that correct? Of the, yep.
There's actually, so there's one on each side that comes up significantly, like a couple feet from the ground level, so they are not taking water in. But there is one, an old, intake, which I believe might even be within the railroad right of way, that is probably 2 feet below ground level. And that's very likely pulling in sediment. That might be part of our issue, but we haven't been able to get it dry enough to be able to get in there and actually do the work that we need to either televise or jet or both to figure out what we got to deal with there. But that upper portion past the railroad tracks is substantially wet, but that intake is definitely pulling in dirt and debris and a lot of water.
So yeah, we can see, and we don't need to show everything, but the tile continues up past, actually crosses 169 twice, and then comes back over and drains this area up here. But you can see obvious drainage issues there. Just a quick review of the timeline. There was originally a request for repairs at the railroad crossing. Due to the nature of kind of the complexity of the work required at the railroad crossing, the board had appointed us to investigate. There was jetting done in early 2021 under the railroad. And then we had presented some preliminary findings, and we were directed to further research some potential improvement options for the landowners. We had an informational meeting with the landowners, presented them with options for potentially to just repair the tile under the railroad or look at some improvements. We did have an informational meeting. At that time, there were no objections. We proceeded with the final engineer's report. That was filed. We did have a hearing, had a number of objections, I think primarily due to cost. And then the hearing was continued until January 2022. Remonstrance was met, so the improvement portion of the project was stopped at the continued hearing. However, the repair under the railroad was approved by the board at that time. Kind of one caveat with that is this main going through here is 24 inch for quite a while actually. What we had proposed as an option was because of how difficult it is to get this work done in the railroad right away and how tough it is to permit and work with them, potentially putting in a larger pipe across the railroad now so that that pipe would be large enough for any future improvements when they did happen down the road, and you basically get it done in one shot and not have to do a second project in the future. So that was what was approved. And then we ran into the downstream issues in 2022. And we did receive last summer a draft crossing permit from the Union Pacific Railroad. But with some of those issues that were found downstream, we were asked to pause work on things until some of that could be resolved downstream.
And it's been too wet, I mean,
yeah,
couldn't get out there at all.
And so I guess where that kind of leads us to is the last item on my timeline there, which Kyle mentioned, he shared the memo with you, but it's really great news actually. Just to give, the memo gives a quick historical background, but the drainage code, in my opinion, and I think probably most attorneys' opinion, pretty clearly states that railroads are responsible for the tile within their right of way. And as the railroads do, they fought that over the years with their attorneys. In 2013, there was an Iowa Supreme Court decision. Basically, what the railroad came after was the definition of a drain in the code, and they stated that tile, underground tile, actually aren't drains. And because of that Supreme Court decision, basically from 2013 until basically now, it was, the precedent was that any tile work, underground tile, so not a culvert, not an above ground culvert, but underground tile in railroad right of way was the responsibility of the drainage district to pay for and do, which was the path we were following previously of permitting the work to be done. The drainage district would complete the work under the railroad and pay for the work under the railroad. I don't think anybody liked that, but that was what we were dealing with. That's the way the law was. Really great news in a memo that Kyle shared, and I do have copies if anybody wants one, but as of June 1st, House File 714 was approved, and it clarifies the definition of a drain in the drainage code, and now it states that it includes a drain, tile, or tile line. And my understanding, it's the opinion of the Drainage District Association and their attorneys that this should clarify and take care of that issue of the railroads not paying for the tile within their right of way. And really, I mean, if the tile crosses the county secondary roads right of way, the county secondary roads pays for it. If the tile crosses the DOT right of way, the DOT pays for it. The railroad has been kind of the exception for the last 10 years. And it's believed that this clarifies that. So it's great news for the drainage district because this was gonna be a huge expense to the landowners to get this done. And now there's a little more backing, I guess, for the drainage district to go after the railroad, to get the railroad to do it. So
I don't know if you have the dollar amount off the top of your head, but I believe it was 400 and some thousand,
So that was, I think, the
the
total.
all-in estimate.
Yeah, all in for that option with all the permitting and construction admin, we had to do
Yeah.
flagging and all that too.
So just a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot to do that, and that was with the bigger pipe.
Yep.
So I guess what I kind of want to talk about with the board today is this law change, which goes into effect on July 1st, really changes things, in my opinion, for this district, and we need to kind of reevaluate strategy with this. We do have a draft permit from Union Pacific that they provided us, but essentially that draft permit basically is for the drainage district to get a permit to do the work, to pay for the work themselves. In addition, my opinion, attorney has not read that permit yet, but it basically results in the drainage district signing away any future, I'll say, rights of drainage, and basically saying, this is now your responsibility now and forever. So with the change in the law, I would strongly advise against not proceeding with that draft permit. And essentially kind of it boils down to two things. You could fight the language in that permit and try and get it cleaned up and proceed with doing the work and then trying to build back to the railroad, but I think that's more than likely gonna end up in a legal battle. I think probably the best option to start is to try and work with the railroad and get them to do the work. That's what we're doing, and we have actually another project right now with some culverts that we're trying to get the railroad to replace. And that is also gonna be a process. It's gonna take some convincing on their part. The culvert project I'm doing with the Union Pacific right now, actually, their contact that I'm working with, their senior engineer of infrastructure, has basically told me they're not opposed to the project, they understand why it's necessary, but they don't think they should have to pay for it. So that's kind of where they land, I think.
Well, we can educate them.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, and that may have to be the case, because they aren't gonna give way easily, I guess, on some of those things. So where that kind of lands, I guess, is my recommendation would be, we kind of, because there was a hearing of action taken and the landowners last understood that they were gonna be paying for this to be done, and this is a change. I don't know if the board needs to potentially have another hearing with the landowners or just amend the previous action or what exactly needs to be done. So I'd like to consult with legal counsel to get their opinion on how to best proceed, because we've got a material change in the project. Now, it's for the better, and I'm sure the landowners will all be happy to hear this, but still I'd like to consult with them to see what's necessary and how to best proceed, and then additionally talk strategy on how to best go about working with the railroad on getting them to fix the tile across their right of way. Yeah, Roger?
Well, you're going to have to ignore your previous conversation with the railroad and start all over again.
So the good news is we have, the culvert project I'm doing with Union Pacific right now, we started from the get-go on that one saying the district's not doing this work, we want Union Pacific to. It took me 3.5 months of weekly phone calls and emails to just get in contact with the right person there. And they would not even talk to me until we submitted an online application and for a permit, even though that's not what we were trying to do. It's a mess with their system, but we do have for this district, we do have a project open with them. I have a contact there. Additionally, that project happens to be in Western Iowa, but the contacts, at least on their website, are the same for here and there. So the good news is, I guess, I have the contacts with the folks there that I would need to have those conversations. And I am hopeful that we don't need to start over, and I have the contacts in case somebody say, hey, there's a situation, we believe that, you should be responsible for doing this.
So it should be an easier process.
Yeah, I'm not expecting months of running things through the chain to get in contact with them. We already they're aware of the location, what we wanna do. There's a project folder open down their end, so we can kind of just take off from there.
So today, you want us to, using an attorney?
What I wanna do is talk with legal counsel on I'd also like to get their thoughts on the railroad process, but more the drainage code process of what action was taken at public hearing and what the path we're going now. doing down now are two different things. And maybe he'll say, well, it's at less cost to the landowners now, so you're fine, you can proceed. Or maybe it's just an amendment of previous action, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's you need to have no dissent and hold another hearing, but.
Nothing like this ever happened before, so I have no idea.
Exactly, yes, and it's a good thing, it's a really good problem to
Hudson
have.
now. I mean,
Well, why don't we just
you got a minute if we try
give
Hudson
him-
right now?
Yeah, that'd be fine with me, yeah.
I mean, hopefully it won't,
we
let me
haven't got
try.
a whole bunch of time.
yeah, but he might be able to shoot something pretty quick,
Well, I
see
don't,
if he answers.
I don't know an attorney that will answer a question that quickly.
Oh, he's answered questions for me.
Kyle?
Hey Jim, I got you on speakerphone, we're in our board meeting here, we've got Spencer from ISG talking about this drain 90 lateral 1 tile project, which has a railroad crossing repair involved in it. And quick question for you, hopefully, we had action taken at a previous public hearing to do a repair under the railroad tracks, but now with the state law that just changed, we will potentially take a different route because the railroad would be responsible for paying for that. So with the previous action, do we need to hold another public hearing or an informational hearing or just a vote of the board as trustees to change course with that? It would be a savings to the district, but just thought I'd try and get your advice or opinion real quick.
I'm not aware of any state law change that changed, this is a drainage district ditch or a
This
tile?
is a tile that goes through the railroad tracks, and it was House File 714, defined. It changed the definition to include drain, tile, or tile line, which results in shifting the tile construction costs within the railroad right of way back to the railroad. So now they would be treated like secondary roads or state DOT, etc., that pay for what happens within their right of way.
Which is always what I thought it said before anyway, under
Yep.
section 100 or 109 or 110.
Yep, exactly. But now, so the law was clarified in that regard, but, we have previous actions, so do we need to rescind the previous action with a motion or go to a public hearing, or what's your recommendation on how to handle that process?
And tell me the previous action, Kyle, you had an engineer's report.
Yep, there was a report for an improvement, the improvement got a remonstrance, so that was stopped. Then the repair was recommended to replace the tile specifically under the railroad track. That was approved by the board, but then we've had tree root issues downstream of that and just significant rainfall, so that has not happened yet. But we have a previous action that would have been before the law changed, so Spencer's recommending we kind of address that again, that way we have action after the law change, which would be handled differently, if you follow me there.
Well, the law was wrong in the first place, so that isn't bothering me. How long ago did you have this hearing?
January 11th of 22. So it's been a
So
bit.
it's over a year?
Yep. So would you recommend just having a new hearing and talk about it there?
It wouldn't hurt to revisit it, Kyle.
Yeah, I would agree with that, just thought we'd try and get your legal opinion.
And I'm assuming this repair of where this district tile goes is in a place that the railroad selected, and as a result of it, well, the new law, Claire, I do know what you're talking about. It kind of took me by surprise. So it's probably a good idea. It's not gonna cost that much to do it.
No.
And to get the landowners back up to speed. and it gives the engineer an opportunity to explain the project again to everybody.
Yep,
And at least have landowners get copies of the report, but it doesn't change that at all. You're still wanting to restore, renew, and you have to do a repair, you know all of that law.
yep.
So it's not a matter of choice, but it does get them up to speed.
The biggest thing is the change in cost, because they were expecting the cost to be on the district or on the landowners, but, I think you answered my questions anyway. I don't know if the board has anything further, but I think going to a public hearing is a good idea, so.
Had you called earlier?
No, not on this one.
Okay, this morning I'm out.
Oh, no, not today.
I was in getting an EKG at the hospital and I missed a call, and then I got this one.
No worries, so, sounds good, we will let you go. Thanks, have a good one.
You bet, take care, bye.
So go ahead and contact Marge and set up a date for public hearing then.
Yeah, I think what I should also do is I can just, a short, amendment to the report, just a one-page, basically summary of what we just talked about. So that's available, so when landowners ask, you can say, hey, here's the situation. So I can provide that, and then we can coordinate on,
Coordinate on a time, and next week we'll approve it.
Setting a date.
Is that all right with you, Marge?
Can we do that today with the agenda item we have?
No.
It's not, yeah.
No.
I would recommend just waiting, and then you'll have, I can file, basically I'll just file that amendment to the report.
Do you have any idea of what would work for you if you bring something to us next week?
So it'd have to be 40 days after that, so
Yeah.
we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4.
Beginning of August?
August 15th, if we wanted to do it on a Tuesday.
Okay.
That's in my mind.
I think if we could do it there before we have everyone getting into the field, would be good.
Yeah, okay, no, that sounds great. Would the board have any issue with me in the meantime, just, doing a little bit of, kind of trying to get the ball rolling with Union Pacific and, emails to them, just to
As
kind of.
long as you don't jeopardize them
Right.
paying for it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that'd be an issue.
And I'll probably wait until after July 1st, since that's when the law changes.
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to.
And just two quick things I wanna run through too, associated with that, just so the board's aware. The pipe size thing, the landowners elected at their own additional cost to put in the larger pipe for future improvements. Because there is no improvements happening now, it's possible that Union Pacific will say, we're not gonna put in the 60-inch pipe, we'll only put in whatever's needed to maintain current drainage.
I'm assuming they'll say 24-inch tile, like.
So depending, if they jack and bore a steel pipe, it'll probably be 26 because of the interior diameter being large enough, but they 24, 26 or whatever they decided to do. Then the other item, and we can talk about this at hearing or whatever, is at that previous hearing, the board had directed us to proceed with annex and reclass. We haven't done any of that yet just because the project's kind of been on pause, but we should revisit that. I still think there's value. I know the landowners were interested in knowing what their costs would be for any potential improvement. So there is annexation and reclass kind of hanging out there that we can discuss at hearing as well, but just want to bring that to the board's attention.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah, that's all I have otherwise.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We will go to drainage repairs, Marge. Thanks, Spencer.
Yeah.
I told the IDDA that you were in charge now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I've been told John a couple times, so.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I assumed that he retired already Wednesday, but.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Can we go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Got, number 63, Super Drainage District. Hancock Kossuth. Number 25-176. In section 34 of Prairie Township for Craig Gunther. We have two things, washout on the bank and the open ditch on the west side. And one of the outlet pipes has bent down, needs repaired. And the second thing is needs an outlet pipe replaced. Then I have on pack 1, it's number 64, in section 4, Whittemore Township. Request from Brian Tool, there's a washout on the bank, that's all part of the, part of the larger scope of things. And then, number 65, Drainage District 156, lateral 31. And section 22 of Irvington Township for Chris Capacious. There's a broken tile, large washout, needs repair.
Ready for me?
Yep, Kyle, you got one?
Yep, I got 66 and Greenwood 14 for replacing a couple outlet pipes for Tim McNerney.
Anybody got any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for the supervisors to do their repairs. Plath, I'll second your motion. All those in favor?
You stole Josh's thunder on the second.
Oh, darn. Josh, you
Good
wanna
job.
second it?
No, good job.
I don't get to second it very often.
I know.
You know that. You know
I just heard the sigh over here.
Oh. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion on it? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Discussion with our auditor.
Okay, I have a few things quickly.
Thanks, Mark.
We're not gonna have because July 4th is on a Tuesday, we won't be having a board meeting that week. So, we'll be paying claims on July 11th. Usually we'd be paying them that first week, but we'll be pushing it back to the 11th, so we'll be paying claims the 11th or approving claims, sorry, the 11th and the 18th. Of July, which actually is good because it gives us time between payroll and all that, so that, just to let you know, there will be no meeting that week, and, we'll be doing claims, approving claims the 11th and the 18th. There's been a lot of discussion between auditors on the EMS, the new EMS levies. A couple of the counties are doing interfund loans to make sure that they have enough money for payroll and other expenses, so they don't come to July payroll and not have enough money in the fund. So that is an option, if you're okay with it. I did get a copy of the copy from Osceola County. They're transferring 100,000, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to put that on the agenda for next week for discussion to look at, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking just discussion or?
I was thinking discussion decision, but you
Okay.
tell me what you.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to
Let's do a
see what,
decision.
Okay.
yeah, I think we should get it in place, soon, so we don't have to worry about it.
Just in case, because we hate to get to payroll and not have any funds in that account to pay payroll, so. Okay, so then, I'm gonna be gone. I leave tonight for ISACA in West Des Moines. That's through Friday. They have quite a bit of stuff on our agenda for the week, so it'll be a busy week for us. Then they have set up a special class in September that's gonna go over the new Senate file. I would like Roger to go with, I don't know if that's gonna be okay, because usually seats are limited at these classes. They're gonna go over it in depth with us and what to expect for the next fiscal year. So that, they haven't set a date for that September class yet, but I think it's gonna be a really important class. And so it's always better if there's two heads than just one. So, but we can talk about that more as the date gets set, but, that is coming up, and I don't think they've set a place to have that, hold that at yet. And I'm guessing they're gonna have more than one, because they're not gonna get all of us in one meeting, I wouldn't think.
I'm gonna think that they're gonna need more education,
Yeah,
to say the least,
yeah.
on
I know they've
what the
been,
House file and Senate file pass.
the auditors and I'm not sure who else.
Is that through
involved in
your
it.
auditors association for
Yeah.
that one?
They've set up, a committee that's been working together to, narrow it down and try to come up with key points and try to understand it the best they can, cause it is quite confusing in some spots, so,
Well, it actually contradicts itself as you read through it.
yeah, and I'm sure, the state auditor's office will be part of that too, but I will let you know more as that comes up, but that is something that I'm looking at. Next week, we have discussion on the proposed amended planning and zoning ordinance for hazardous liquid pipelines. And then we have, in there, change in the payroll period depending on what happens in today's, department head meeting. And then the only other thing that I have is, you guys have all gotten emails and I think even, mailings on the countywide breakfast sponsored by Kossuth County Economic Development. That is on July 26th. Maureen would like RSVPs, back by the 12th. But I told her that I would talk to you guys about it today and, so,
Yeah, I'll be going.
I will not be able to attend that.
I won't
meeting. You, okay, so Jack is now.
Send the four of us in.
Okay, okay. 4 yeses.
Carter, you still wanna talk about the carbon pipeline next week, or you wanna forget it for another week?
Alright, so that's all I have.
Jack, do you have anything last week?
Board of Health tomorrow morning.
Carter?
No committees other, I'm at 12.
Jack?
No meetings.
Connie?
We already talked about EMS quite a bit today, so I think that covers that, but nothing for meetings, so.
I had a drainage association meeting when, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask about, the comments made by Galen this morning. Previously, people have been thrown out of meetings for disrespecting during meetings, so I don't feel I should have to put up with that every time he walks in the room. I would like that addressed.
No questions, one very good.
Done?
I would like that addressed in some form going forward.
I don't know how you can stop somebody from talking in a public meeting and we don't know what they're gonna say until they say it.
Saying that his comments are out of order and needs to stay respectful.
Oh,
Other people have been told
yeah.
similar.
Did they do it, Pat?
Does that
We're just going right into this.
It's a regular occurrence.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I haven't seen it before, yeah, but secretary called to get all the solutions.
It's your personal feud though between the two of you.
Do we need to have a policy?
Outside the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
If it's not going to be addressed, I'd like it on the agenda next week to discuss a policy for
Put it on the agenda.
conduct of meetings.
You done now?
Yep.
Okay, we had a drainage association meeting last Wednesday. We went through a lot of items, quite a bit of it was all state issues and state laws. And, we're running out of time today, but is there anybody have any questions on any of the laws that were passed last year about drainage?
That has a summary of them and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll maybe look over that sometime.
I'm gonna
That's
leave it
okay.
here and anybody wants to look over it, grab it, look through it.
Fine by me.
And that's all I had last week. Anything else to come before the good of Kossuth County?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn.
Couple minute break quick.
Yep, we're gonna have at least a 2-minute.